We're having a whistle-stop tour of my default template, and we've dealt with busing and we've dealt with the instrument tracks that we're going to record our music onto. But now we want to have a look at the meta information in this top section up here. So firstly, how do we get this top section? Really easy. Project, divide track list. Do that. It's just a great idea to be able to separate your music from your non-music. It's really clean, really elegant. So what have we got up here? Well, we've got our master outputs. So there's our stereo out, there's our master bus, and these just correspond to these two channel strips down here. Let's have a look at the bookmark, the two marker tracks. So this first track is called Bookmark Marker. Not a particularly elegant name now that I come to say it. But basically, in every one of my projects, I create 9 bookmarks by default, and I map them to the 9 keys of my numeric keypad. Now, by default, Cubase maps keys 1 and 2 to your left and right locators. I move them elsewhere. I use the L and R keys for those. So my 9 keys on my numeric keypad correspond exactly to these markers. So if I press 6, it jumps to marker 6. 4, bang, 1, over there, 9. So I have 9 places that I can jump to very quickly. So when I'm writing a song, if I'm at bar 37, I can pick any of these up, drag it across, and I can see that it's marker number 7. And now if I hit the number 7 on my numeric keypad, I jump straight there. Okay, so they don't have to be in order. Cubase doesn't care. Why is that one green? Don't be annoying. Yeah, Cubase doesn't care what order these things come in, and we can name them if we want. So I could name this could be chorus, and now you see over here it gets labeled. I typically don't do that. I just have 1 to 9 and I drag them around as desired in any order. I don't care, and I can just see visually that it's number 9. This is one of the beauties of having this top list, because no matter how many tracks you've got in your project, this is always visible. So because my bookmark marker track is right at the very top, I can make this tiny and it will still be visible. I can see that marker number 9 is at bar 57. So I can jump around to these things at will. We create our marker tracks here, marker. You can have as many of them as you want. You can in Cubase Pro. I don't know about other versions. Create it, call it whatever you want. So I use 2 marker tracks. So the first one is bookmark marker, and that's for jumping around, like I say. The second marker track is for what I call harmonic info. So you can see at the moment it just defaults to C major. But if I have a song that has multiple keys or scales, then I can create, I activate this track, create any number of these things, drag them wherever I want, and now we might switch to D Dorian. And now I can see what key I'm in. These tracks are double sized because this little orange button over here, you can only ever have one active marker track at any given time, and this is how you toggle between them. And I can't find a way of making it visible from a single line. Now, having said that, it's exceptionally rare that I would ever want to activate the harmonic info marker, because I don't typically jump to these things. They're information, they're not bookmarks. So typically I'll have bookmark marker active, and that's the one that I can jump to by pressing the numbers, and harmonic info marker is inactive but the data is visible, and then you can make each of those tracks just a single row high. We'll deal with scales in a completely separate video. That's a subject in its own right. It's a tool for translating the keys on the keyboard, mapping MIDI notes. Time signature, this is our signature track, so we can have any number of different time signatures wherever we want. This can be a 6/8. Okay, and the Cubase will count according to that new time signature. So by default we just have a standard 4/4 at the beginning of the track. Here's our tempo track set to 101, annoyingly. So the beginning of the song, it starts at tempo 100, but we can have any number of tempo changes we want. I'll make this a bit bigger, pencil. You know, now the song as it's playing will get faster and slower, and you'll see the, there you go, tempo changes every time it hits one of those markers. Control Z to undo. Control Z to undo, Control Shift Z to redo. Then I have a chord track. So this thing again, we'll deal with these separately elsewhere. This is just an overview of the meta information that I consider valuable. So a chord track is really cool for mapping chords that you know are in. So if this song starts on a C minor 7, then we can see the notes that are being played by it. And if you map that in turn to an instrument, then and turn it on. Now when I turn this thing on, you just heard a C minor 7. So Cubase plays those chords according to the currently selected track because it's set to use monitored tracks. I can explicitly set that elsewhere. Again, won't go into too much detail. Chord track is a separate thing in its own right, but really useful. I use it visually so that I can see, because I'm pretty bad from a theoretical point of view. My music theory isn't great. And so I'll write something without knowing what I've done and then figure out what the chord is and then write it into my chord track so that when I'm playing a different track, a different part somewhere else, I can use that for reference and think, well, if I play these notes, it's going to sound good. So it's very much a visual reference for me, but it has other functionality and is really cool. And that's it. There is other stuff that could be in here. There's lots of other metadata information that we could add to this upper panel, but I choose not to. I don't want to flood it with unnecessary information or until I decide it's necessary. So this is the stuff that I use right out of the gate. So that's all the basic track information covered. Next time, transport bar. All this stuff down at the bottom. What the hell does all that mean? We'll cover that in the next video. Thanks very much for watching. See you later.